Let's talk about the last subject that we've got on today, and this is Matt Hutchins, the widower of Halyna Hutchins. He finally has made his first media appearance. He was on the Today Show, and he sat down for an interview to kind of talk about everything. And it basically, from what I saw, it looked basically like what you would expect the widower of Halyna Hutchins to say, especially given everything that has happened so far and all of the publicity that Alec Baldwin has given to the world. And it's just yet another reason why it was a huge mistake for Alec Baldwin to go and talk with George Stephanopoulos.
When you say what you would expect him to say, the first thought that flew to my mind is that coming from the environment he's coming from, the first thing he would say is Putin is Hitler. But you probably mean something else, not some politically correct statement about how amazing Ukraine is and how terrible Russia is. So when you say he would say what you expect him to say, you're saying that he's blaming Alec for killing his wife.
He said that Alec Baldwin was essentially blaming the victim in his interview with George Stephanopoulos, which that is very much what it looked like to many objective viewers. And he said that he's sad that Alec Baldwin did not take any responsibility for it, which I as a lawyer,
there's no way he can.
There's no way he can. And by the way, this widower is a lawyer himself. So he would understand that legally he's not going to be seeing that ahead of any kind of criminal charges, ahead of any kind of, civil lawsuit, of course, but as a human being and as a person, yeah, you can call someone out for going on an interview like that and not doing that because you're trying to score personal points by going on an interview with George Stephanopoulos like that. You're trying to, drive the narrative, drive the conversation on the whole subject and paint yourself in the best light possible. And yeah, you absolutely open yourself up to criticism from the widower in this kind of a situation, that you are being heartless and that you're essentially blaming somebody who has already died.
That civil trial, assuming it doesn't settle, which it almost certainly will, but if that actually goes all the way to trial, that would be something that would just be a splendid thing to watch, I think.
Absolutely. And if it were live streamed, that all of us would be all over that. Yeah. That would be a crazy one to live stream as well. But I can show, if you guys are interested, I can show a little bit of this interview. Okay, here we go. And let me know if you guys can or cannot hear it.
And for me and Andrew.
Do you hear it?
Yeah.
Okay, good.
Alec Baldwin called you afterwards, and it was an embrace and a meal. Tell me what that was like.
Well, I feel like to understand that moment, you have to remember the shock we were in. And I spoke with Mr. Baldwin and was just looking for a way through the storm.
Did he seem distraught during that time?
There were a lot of emotions for sure on both sides.
That's a decent answer.
Hutchins, who's filed a civil suit against Baldwin and other producers and crew members on the film, now expressing outrage with Baldwin's recent interview, where he says the actor shifted blame over the death of his wife, Halyna.
I feel that someone is responsible for what happened, and I can't say who that is, but I know it's not me.
But watching him, I just felt so angry. Just so angry to see him talk about her death so publicly in such a detailed way, and then to not accept any responsibility after having just described killing her.
He said, essentially, he felt grief but no guilt.
Almost sounds like he was the victim. And hearing him blame Halyna, in the interview and shift responsibility to others, cry about it. I just feel like, are we really supposed to feel bad about you, Mr. Baldwin?
So do you think that the majority of the blame lays on Alec Baldwin?
The idea that the person holding the gun, causing it to discharge, is not responsible is absurd to me. Every individual who touches a firearm has a responsibility for gun safety. But gun safety was not the only problem on that set. There were a number of industry standards that were not practiced, and there's multiple responsible parties.
The suit, which alleges at least 15.
That guy
So-
seems like he's really intelligent.
He is, yeah,
It's a very intelligent answer.
He seems
Yeah.
really intelligent.
yeah. This and you know, just a reminder, this is a lawyer. I think he actually works for a big firm too. So he's not a
I
dum
believe it.
dum.
I believe it.
And this is probably why he waited until now. It's been, you know, however many months since October when the shooting actually happened, and this is his first media appearance. And it looks like, you know, he is in a place where emotionally he can do it, and he can do it without putting his position at risk.
And
How
you contrast
he's
that.
able to do that though is a whole nother set of problems, because that's not an issue of intelligence. Like I you can be the smartest person in the world and just be able to give answers like that and not resort to anger. I don't know. That's a whole nother set of whatever.
You're raising a really interesting point here, Kurt, because when you think about it, so he is an attorney and Alec is an actor. Now they're both on a world stage here, each of them doing their performances, and his training is as an attorney, not as being like a celebrity. I mean, before this incident, no one ever heard of this dude. And Alec Baldwin is someone everyone on the planet has heard of, and he's used to acting. So now in this, it's interesting that he handled that situation with so much better than Alec did, where you can see that his responses are very well thought out, very calmly expressed, not with like a blustery emotion, and that you can see that he thought a lot about what response he's going to give and how he's going to handle it, and he never loses his cool there, and he never looks like something less than sympathetic, even when he's expressing his rage. It's like measured, it's like frustration, and he doesn't the temperament of his voice, everything about it seems like very, very well expressed, and that's not something that it comes naturally. It doesn't, as you're pointing out, Kurt, that the emotion overrides you. That's something that I recognize that he practiced, and he practiced looking natural and not out of control, and that's and expressing it very well and articulately. That was impressive.
But I think that we also are talking about, I mean, I guess you could, if you want to compare the two people that have done interviews here, Alec Baldwin and Matt Hutchins, they're kind of intersecting in these two different worlds, right? One is the world of publicity and one is the world of law. And Alec Baldwin seems to have maybe not as strong of an understanding of the implications of operating in the world of law, whereas it seems that Matt Hutchins has a very good understanding. And so, you know, like that also is able to sort of guide someone through a process like this, that they are able to, you know, at least understand when their emotions might end up fighting against what it is that they are trying to achieve. And so, you know, even so you can at least kind of have a little bit, you know, and this is not to say that every lawyer does this, right? Like there are plenty of lawyers that are unhinged, you know, that on a regular basis, there are plenty of lawyers who get disbarred. Right?
Well, yeah, and lawyers who are more animated are not necessarily worse, because those styles can work for certain people.
Sure, yeah.
So, but his style is working for him in spades, and it's interesting because I think you're right. He's better at this than Alec Baldwin, which is kind of slightly hilarious.
Yeah. And imagine both of them taking the stand at a trial. If you're Alec Baldwin's attorney, you have to say to yourself, this dude is gonna completely
Destroy
outclass.
you.
And
He's
I,
gonna outclass my client on the stand.
and now that
Yeah.
you say that, I wonder if maybe that was one of the reasons why he decided to do a sit down interview, because to show both lawyers so that, Alec Baldwin's lawyers can look at that and say, oh my, if you go up against him based on your like, I'm sorry, I know that you're this big actor and you know best and everything, but if you are in a trial and it's you against him, let's poll a mock jury to see what they think based on your interview and his interview, and see what they think. Like, let's settle this as soon as possible. That could absolutely be one of the reasons why they did this interview, is just to show everybody, like, he's going to perform very well at trial and much better than Alec Baldwin.
And yes, I agree with you 100%, especially considering what they've done so far to sort of prep their case and with PR in the minds of the public. They created a movie
Yeah.
reenacting what happened. Who does such a thing unless you're figuring this is going to be well over $50 million we're taking from this thing? This is going to be massive.
Yes.
And you're looking at this is not a $3 million, $5 million thing they're looking for at all. They are looking for tens and tens of millions of dollars, and this is their way of showing the defense. We're going to get it. We're going to get it.
Yeah.
Like this company, like the production company, there's no way the insurance. We're going to get the policy and a lot more than that. Whatever the insurance policy is, that's their way of saying it.